What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video. Today we're doing a tier list for all of the Star Wars TV shows so far. This includes the Kenobi series that just ended. Now before we begin, if you guys have any cool ideas for future tier lists, let me know in the comments below or go to my Net Entertainment Discord. There'll be a link down there. Jump in there, go to the suggestion tab, just leave a tier list suggestion in there. And if I use your idea, I'll give you a shout out in the video. Now with that said, guys, let us begin. So looking at this list, we got all the shows, even the animated ones or the live action ones. We're going to get the animated ones out of the way first, then we'll jump into the live action ones. Because here's the thing, the animated shows are all great in their own way. But the new bread and butter as far as the live action Star Wars goes is going to be TV shows. They might do more movies later on. I definitely know they're going to do movies at some point. But for right now, they're really just sinking into Disney Plus and the shows. So the live action shows are going to be the bread and butter. But for right now, we're just going to go off the quality of the shows overall. What are the best Star Wars shows? Now with that said, let's begin. First off, we have the original Clone Wars from when I was a kid, before the other Clone Wars. I think for what this is, it's good. Like, this is going to count the entire series, by the way. I think it's good. You can't really complain much about it because this was the first time you really saw something besides a movie. There was nothing else. Of course, there were the extended universe and different things, like as far as books and maybe comics and stuff like that. But this was the first time you could actually watch something that wasn't just the movies when it came to Star Wars. I think that was really cool. For the animation, I remember not liking it at the time, but rewatching it, like I think I watched it like a year and a half ago, I was surprised by how much I actually like it now. It's kind of like Samurai Jack-ish. You guys ever watched Samurai Jack? Just like that. The animation wise, I think it works. I think it looks cool, and I'm cool with it. It's going to go into good. Next, Star Wars Visions. I think Star Wars Visions as well was really good. I actually might put a little bit behind Clone Wars. The reason for this is because while I respect this thing, I think this needs more time. They need more time to really do Star Wars Visions right. Like, they needed more time for Star Wars Visions to cook, if that makes sense. I'll just explain this. So my personal opinion, I think Star Wars Visions is really cool, but you can tell it is a test. They're testing something out. They're testing to see if people like it, and overall, people really did like it. Well, from what I've seen. So I do think they're going to be doing more of them, and I definitely recommend it because I think that Star Wars Visions has the potential to be some really cool Star Wars stuff. But for right now, for what it is and what it does compared to the rest of the Star Wars stuff, I think it's good. But it could be amazing with more time to cook. So with that said, next one. Star Wars The Clone Wars. This is the entire show altogether. Guys, this has to go in amazing. I don't think you can really refute that. If you haven't seen it, you think it's just for kids, watch it. Okay, the first few seasons you could argue it's for kids, but as time goes on, it definitely ages with its audience and it gets so much more better. Especially the later seasons when you see Darth Maul come back. That changes the game in the show for me. It's amazing. And that's just my personal opinion. Next one, Star Wars Rebels. I think Star Wars Rebels is actually pretty good. I'm going to put it right behind Visions. I haven't watched it now for a few years, but I remember I did watch it when it first came out. And I remember thinking it was actually pretty good. People didn't like it compared to the Clone Wars because the Clone Wars had so much more going on. I respect Rebels because what it does is it tells one cohesive story. Where Clone Wars goes, here's this story, here's this story, here's this story, here's this story. Oh, here's R2 and his squad with their shenanigans, you know? You don't care about that, but here it is. And I get it. It is the Clone Wars. You know, that's everywhere, so they have to cover all these different storylines. It's fine. Where Rebels was allowed to kind of just take a step back and just follow one crew as they travel around the galaxy and do their thing. And I think for what Rebels is, I think it's very solid. I definitely know it's getting more love over the years. At first, people really didn't like it, but I like it. The only issue I have with this show, really, is the lightsabers are just really weird looking. I know that they did that on purpose. I'm just not a massive fan of that design. But with that said, moving on to the next one. We're going to go to the Bad Batch. I think the Bad Batch is okay. People might disagree with me, but for right now, it feels like a spin-off of the Clone Wars. And you might say, oh, that's good. And that's what it is. That's pretty much exactly what it is. But I feel like it needs something extra. It's missing a special ingredient in my mind. I don't know what they're going to do. I heard the season 2 is coming out. I'm going to watch season 2. I'll give it another try. But for me, when I was watching the Bad Batch, I just kind of felt like it was just another season of Clone Wars following a different squad. So hopefully season 2 can kind of come in, add the little extra flavor it needs, give it its own identity, and hopefully it can go into good or even amazing next time I rank. Now with that said, we have the live action shows. We're going to start with The Mandalorian. So I wish this had season 1 and season 2 split, but whoever made this tier list, they're counting it all as one show. I'm going to put The Mandalorian at amazing. I think it's right behind Clone Wars. I would put it in front of Clone Wars if we're talking about just like a standalone story goes, because I think the standalone story of Mando is better. But if we're talking about like overall what the expanse and the different elements that go into Clone Wars all together, you just really can't beat Clone Wars, especially considering Clone Wars has what, 150 episodes in it. Like, it has so many episodes. Mando only has like 16 right now, so it's really not even fair to compare these two. But for what Mando is, what it represents, it's amazing. I personally pick season 2 over season 1, but they're both really good. Like, they're like neck and neck. On a given day, I might change them. You know, that's how good they are. Next, Book of Boba Fett. Now, this is where people might disagree with me, but I think Book of Boba Fett is like a middle okay. I think it's just fine. It feels like a show that was made just because they could. Do you know what I mean? Like, they made the Book of Boba Fett because why not? And I do have this is something that's in my brain, okay? This is something that I personally think they did. There were a few rumors like 5 years ago that after Solo, Boba Fett was going to get his own movie, and then after that, Kenobi was going to get his own movie. So what I think they did was they took those original scripts and they took them to Disney Plus and they spread them out into separate episodes. And that's what happened with both Boba Fett and the Kenobi series. And I could be wrong about this, but I'm almost certain that's what they did. And that is the problem with Boba Fett and Kenobi. We'll get to Kenobi soon. The biggest problem with these two shows is that they feel like they should be their own standalone movies. But instead, they both got picked up and stretched into 6 episodes, and that was just too much for the shows. They should have just been movies. I think they would have been very solid. Probably actually pretty good movies, not amazing. Definitely in the good category, though, if they were just movies. There's just not enough going on in the Boba Fett show to really keep people interested, in my opinion. And this is something that most people agree on, at least from what I talk to. Almost every person I talk to, no one has ever disagreed with me. But this is what I think the biggest reason why Boba Fett isn't remembered as terrible. It's because Mando shows up halfway through and makes the show so much better. The scenes with Boba are just not fun. That is, until Mando shows up, and then things get good. And I think the big reason is because the character of Boba Fett isn't supposed to be the lead. You know, I love the actor. I love the character, but the character itself now, at least the Boba Fett they're portraying, he is not meant to be the main character. He is meant to be an ensemble character. He is meant to be the mentor to our Mando. That's why Boba works so well in season 2 of The Mandalorian, because he was kind of like a mentor figure to Mando, and it worked great. But when you take an ensemble character, good example of this is Han Solo. He works really well as the dashing hero, as the secondary hero. He's not meant to be the main hero. Same thing with Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park, The Lost World. You know, he's the dashing hero. He's supposed to be the second guy. You know, he's not the main guy. He's the second guy, or maybe the third guy, whatever. He's not supposed to be the main protagonist. Now, I know those are movie comparisons, but let's say TV show Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead. He is a great secondary lead guy, but he is not supposed to be the lead guy. That's Rick. You know what I mean? Rick is supposed to be the lead guy. So when you get rid of Rick and you make Daryl the main guy, it just doesn't work as well. It doesn't hit right because he's not the guy we can see ourselves as. You know, we see ourselves as Mando, and Boba can be there to lead us, but we are supposed to be Mando. So that's why the show feels disconnected, and overall, it's not bad, but I would understand an argument if you said it was bad. It just goes into okay. Now we have Kenobi. Now here's the thing about Kenobi. This is a different perspective than Boba, because while I do think that Kenobi was taken and turned into, you know, this whole this stretched out into a show when it should have just been a movie. I do think it is high okay. I might put a little bit in front of Bad Batch. And the reason for that is because overall, I was happy with the show. There are lots of issues with this show. Could have definitely been better, let's be honest. Storyline could have been a lot more cohesive. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show wasn't really even Obi-Wan's show, you know what I mean? They kind of did it with Boba as well. It was Boba's show, and then when Mando came, it just became Mandalorian season 2.5, you know what I mean? Where Obi-Wan, it wasn't really his show. It felt like it was the Obi-Wan, Reva, Leia, and Vader show. And while I don't necessarily hate any of those characters, Kenobi needed to be our lead. And while he was in the front, for some reason, it didn't feel like it was his story, you know? And I think that is a big issue when you're telling this. I think that if this would have been a movie, or if they would have released all these episodes at one time like Netflix does, this show would actually be remembered more fondly. But because it wasn't, it is just a high okay show. But I would understand if you put this in bad. Now with that said, I'd understand if you put this in good too, because there are some really cool scenes in this show. But ultimately, this is how I have to rank these shows. I don't personally think there is any truly bad Star Wars shows. I know there are other shows that aren't on this tier list. I didn't make this tier list. I just picked someone else's. I didn't really watch any other ones anyways, so it doesn't matter. But I will say this. What they're doing with Mando is good. Like I said, while I do think that Obi-Wan and Boba were old movie scripts that were turned into 6-episode series, I don't know if Disney has any more of those movie scripts that they can kind of stretch out and make it not as good. So hopefully, with that said, we won't have to worry about any problems like Boba Fett and Kenobi happening again, and future projects will actually be pretty good, like Ahsoka series coming out, or like I said, Mando season 3, or the Cassian Andor show. I also heard there might be a rumor of a Luke Skywalker show they might be doing, which would be interesting. Whatever the case, what we got is fine, but it could be better. But then again, that's just my opinion. I guess that's it for now, guys. Thanks again for watching. Like I said, if you have any cool ideas for future tier lists, let me know in the comments below, or go to the Net Entertainment Discord, leave it in the suggestion tab, and if I use your suggestion, I'll give you a shout out in that video. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.